Hello, Sinister Sippers. Go ahead and grab a cup of tea or coffee if you're me, because coffee is needed. Sandwich man, if you don't stop, we are seriously just in the intro. Something warm, something comforting, because today's story is one that has stayed with me for years, not just because of what happened, but also it's complicated and it can be a little difficult to understand. Now,
You
mom,
had to do a project in high school, and this is the project that was selected for you, and you went down a rabbit hole.
oh yes, I did. Mom remembers me putting together the whole case files for every single person in the class.
Yes, it's okay, Spencer Reed.
And Shelby has heard the stories of this. So, because of this project, we're dedicating this episode to Mr. Trevorrow. He's
Aww.
the one who got this whole fascination with this
Yeah,
case
because you
started.
wanted to do Gacy, and he told you no.
Yeah, I wanted to do Gacy, and he said, "You're not doing Gacy, Bundy, Dahmer. It's all been overdone. You're doing Aileen Wuornos." And I was like, "Okay." This was on open house night, by the way. So, I mean, I knew what was coming when I signed up for this case, but it's a big part of why this whole show got started. And the whole reason.
And here I thought it was just because I introduced you to spooky shit as a kid. See?
Well, the true crime side comes from Mr. Trevorrow and
Just
diving deep
pop
for
my
that project.
bubble. It's okay.
Shelby's also here with us. She's going to be chiming in.
Hi. Yeah, that was a very pitiful hi.
We've been at it today. The kid, she's sick, and it has been an all day
She's
fiasco.
an asshole.
So, Shelby, why are we poking ourselves in the eye?
Hey, you shouldn't do that. It's gonna hurt.
So, like I said, we dedicated this one to Mr. Trevorrow, and we're going to be talking about this woman who was labeled a monster. But her story is filled with trauma, contradictions, and questions that still don't have clear answers. We are talking about Aileen Wuornos tonight. Imagine you're driving down a dark Florida highway late at night. It's quiet, isolated, the kind of road where you don't expect to see anyone and then you do. A woman standing on the side of the road, alone, hitchhiking. You pull over. Maybe you're trying to help, maybe you're not. But what you don't know is that moment right there is the last decision you're ever going to make. Because between 1989 and 1990, 7 men made that exact choice and they never made it home. So yeah, they just picked her up from the side of the road. Eli, she was not hot. I mean, she was pretty in her younger days.
Yeah, but I mean, at that time period too.
Shelby just beat his ass for asking if she was hot.
At that time period too, you also have chivalry that was still very much alive, and a lot of men, if they saw, especially a woman alone stranded on the highway, they were going to stop just because that's the way they were raised. You stopped and you offered help.
Aileen Wuornos wasn't born into violence. She was born into instability. So she was born on February 29th, 1956 in Rochester, Michigan. Already starting life in a situation that most people wouldn't be able to recover from. Her parents were teenagers, and from what I've been able to figure out, mom was like 16, dad was 17.
Okay.
They separated before Aileen was born, and before this they had her brother. So they already have one kid, and then later they had Aileen.
Wow.
How would you feel about that? Being that young?
I'm good.
I mean, you're 16 and you already have two children.
No, she was 20 by the time she had Aileen.
Okay.
But still, that's young for two kids. So, from that point forward, Eileen's life wasn't about growing up, it was about survival. So, fast forward, she's like 4 or 5, and mom says, "Come on, we're going to go visit your grandparents." Drops Aileen and the brother off with the grandparents and never comes back. And the grandparents end up adopting her. But her father, Leo Pittman, I don't know why I struggle to say that. This is like one of the first pieces that truly get overlooked. He was convicted of child sexual assault, diagnosed with severe mental illness, and ultimately died by suicide in prison, which
Oh
he
my
ended up in
gosh.
prison not too long after he separated from Eileen's mother. So Aileen never truly knew him, but you can't ignore the genetic and the environmental background behind that.
Right.
I mean, you just
Her parents is unstable as hell. That's the only thing I have to say.
yeah, they're unstable and they're not really there. So like I said, when she's a child, her mother left completely. Her and the brother were left with their grandparents. And this really should have been their second chance of normalcy, but it wasn't. So what ended up happening, Aileen described years of abuse in the home. Physical violence, emotional neglect, and allegations of sexual abuse from her grandfather and the grandfather's friends. So he'd invite family friends to come over and just take a turn at the abuse.
Wow.
And when you look at her life and the choices she made, the way she reached the situations, the level of distrust she carried, you start to realize it wasn't just a bad childhood. This was the foundation that built on fear. And when Aileen was 14, she had a child. They sent her to a home for unwed mothers. And there's speculation of if it's the grandfathers or one of the family friends.
And they may not even have known themselves if all that was going on.
Yeah. And the child did get put up for adoption immediately. Like, there is no telling where her, and it was a boy, so there's no telling where her son is now if he even knows that this was his mom.
Right. And chances are they probably never opened those files to be able to know.
I wouldn't want to know. Would you want to know?
To a point, yes, but to a point, no.
Like if your mom was a horrific serial killer.
Yes. 100% yes.
Shelby would just want to dive into the case. She'd be like,
Yeah.
is this one of my SVU episodes? Hold on.
I'd be like, hold on, I've seen this on Law and Order. I know how all this plays out. Just let me look.
And then she'd watch the episode and be like, that's my mom. So by the time she was 11 years old, she wasn't being taken care of. Aileen was taking care of herself. Already at 11, she was trading sex for food, cigarettes, anything she could get just to survive day to day. Yes, at 11, she was a prostitute. And at that point, that's not just like being a rebellious kid.
No, that's you're using what you know to survive.
Yep. And that's all that was survival. So like I said, at 14, she became pregnant. She later stated that the pregnancy was the result of rape, which at 14,
Yeah.
that's very much the case.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
I know a 14-year-old who had a baby whenever she was 13 with a dude who was 19 and willingly did it. And then came to me and asked me, just because of our age difference, does that mean that I didn't consent? I went, did you say yes? She's like, yeah. And I went, okay, then you consented.
For that part. But this is also where things get complicated, where you guys as the listener and even us here have to decide how to interpret the information. Some reports suggest the assault may have involved someone close to the family. Others claim it was an unidentified attacker outside of the home, because there was times where she did live in the woods, and they were there was one documentary I watched that said that she was being assaulted by the guy in the woods that lived in the woods too. She went to him for cigarettes. So there's no definitive answer. What we do know is that she gave birth to a son, and he was immediately placed for adoption. And this is just another piece of her life gone before she even had a chance to process anything. She never truly got to process her life.
And at 14, you're not even mentally able to process what your body's going through.
No, and that's a lot for a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just a lot. So by the age of 15, the grandparents kicked her out. They said, bye. Have at it. You're 15. Go. So no home, no support system, nothing. This was when she began living in the woods and just kept on with her survival. And this is where you start to see a pattern forming, the isolation, the survival, the instinct over and over again.
I mean, at this point, she's just a child looking for someone to be the adult and take care of her and love her and not want something in return.
Yeah, genuinely just someone to be there. Her teenage years and early adulthood were filled with arrests, petty theft, forgery, disorderly conduct, even firing a weapon from a moving vehicle. This sounds very much like your family, Shelby. I mean, who has these exact charges?
Gracie.
We just name call it on this.
I don't like her.
We just complete name call it now. And while those might seem like isolated incidents, they're not. So there was a lot of times she would like go to bars and get in fights, and there would just be a lot going on at one time because all she needed to do was fight and survive. So we are about to get into the killings. And these are not just, I mean, yes, they're the killings, but it's her whole crime, the whole reason she's a true crime addict's first go-to.
Okay.
I mean, you have to think when you start looking up Bundy, Gacy, Dahmer, who's next?
Well, yeah, it's Wuornos. I mean, it's just, you know.
I mean, you saw her prison panties at Graveface.
Yes, and some of her ashes. I have pictures.
I know you have pictures because I didn't get to go on that trip.
Well,
Yeah, the
listen.
Graveface Museum in Savannah, Georgia has her prison underwear.
And some of her remains.
Her friend, so her one friend, what was the name?
I don't remember.
It starts with a D, was given all of her stuff. Like, in her will, she left everything to the friend. And told the friend, if you start struggling for money, you start selling my stuff to anybody who will take it.
This was the only friend she had from childhood.
Yes, this was her friend from the beginning, basically. And so that's exactly what the friend done. She started selling the stuff to get money when bills got tight and life started happening. By 1989, Aileen had fully transitioned into survival mode as an adult, working highways across Florida, drifting from place to place, relying on strangers for money, rides, and safety. And this is where we need to shift our perspective for a second, because I really approach this case like Criminal Minds, as I did in high school. Because from a behavioral standpoint, this is where everything we've talked about, the abandonment, trauma, and instability, meets opportunity. She's alone, she's vulnerable, she's interacting with men in isolated environments. And that combination, it's dangerous in more ways than one, especially for someone with her sexual assault background.
It's just one big trigger.
Yeah, everything is a trigger. So November 30th, 1989 is her first victim, Richard Mallory, a 51-year-old electronics store owner. His body was found in a wooded area, shot multiple times. Now, here's where the case immediately becomes complicated, because Mallory had a prior conviction for attempted sexual assault. And Aileen claimed that he picked her up, drove her to a remote location, and raped her, and said she shot him out of pure survival.
Okay.
Do you believe this? Because I believe this one, that her first murder was survival.
I could understand it, like, personally.
And that almost, in essence, gave her a power.
Yeah, it's like the one time she felt in control.
Yes.
From a profiling standpoint, this moment matters more than any others in the entire case. Because if the first killing truly was self-defense, then everything that follows becomes harder to define. But if it wasn't, then this is the beginning of a pattern. So this is one of the few cases where an actual BAU, which is the Behavioral Analysis Unit for those who don't watch Criminal Minds, profile fits almost perfectly.
Right.
Like, it lines up as if you're in an episode. I mean, yes, you do have, with like Bundy and Gacy, head trauma, things that happen as a kid, but this is the first one that just basically cookie cutter checks all the boxes.
Right.
From start to finish.
She never had a support. She never had, outside of a friend, she never had a true family support or an adult that said, you're worthy. Yeah. And you're good enough, and we love you for you, and we want you to be the best.
So, now we get to May 19th, 1990. David Spears, who was a construction worker. His body was found naked and shot multiple times, and this is where we see the escalation. In this one, you started seeing more shots, more control, and more distance from the initial claim of immediate self-defense.
Okay. So at this point, she was almost, I don't want to say acted in revenge, but it's almost like, okay, men have done this to me all my life, so
and they were all middle-aged men, like her grandfather.
Which makes you question even more, did this all start at a very much younger age with him, and that was her target?
And what I forgot to throw in here was that before the killing started, she got married. She was like 1920. She was very young. She might have even been 21 and married a 69-year-old, and it lasted for a month
Holy
because
shit.
she beat him with his own cane.
She had a sugar daddy.
Yeah, because he was like president of a country club and had money.
Did he have life insurance?
I don't know if he had life insurance, but that is.
I could understand it.
Oh, Sandwich Man is doing famous Sandwich Man things and making food during the episode. I'm gonna make T-shirts to say my episode got interrupted by Sandwich Man.
Hey, baby, come here.
No. I'm trying to eat. Leave me be.
Never mind.
Sandwich Man did not wish to make an appearance.
I want food now.
So, if you are looking at this like I have done since the beginning through a behavioral lens, this is where things began to shift from reaction to pattern because repetition changes intent. So there was a lot of repetition that starts after this. It's basically the same thing.
Right.
And if you watch Monster with Charlize Theron, which
Yes.
I had to do before I presented, Mr. Trevara made that very clear.
Yes.
I had to watch that movie before I was allowed to present. It's so nice being told by a teacher that you have to watch a movie. You'll see that she robbed the men and took their money, whatever
Right.
money they had, because this was also about the time of Tyria, the
Yeah.
girlfriend.
And
And-
she was trying to provide for her.
Yep.
And
Which, this is not the case all the time. Some people just like women. I'm not trying to say lesbians all come from something like this, but her ending up with a woman does make sense based on her past.
well, that could also kind of show a sign of like a bipolar disorder or even another mental disorder, because a lot of time people that are bipolar tend to go both ways at different parts of their life depending on where they're at.
Yeah, because their brain is changing.
Right. And I'm not saying it's with every person that's bipolar, but you do see that pattern in
Yeah,
people that are
We're
diagnosed
not,
bipolar.
we're not trying to say that anybody in the community, in the LGBT community, has a mental
No,
disorder, but we
no,
are
no.
profiling it for her like this.
Yes.
So now we're to June 1st, 1990. Charles Carskadon was a rodeo worker, and his body was found in a wooded area weeks later. Same pattern, same everything. But we do see a lot of the pattern and a lot of the stuff like that coming on, and there was Sandwich Man started skipping across the house, and we're just questioning his random energy burst. And they're found in the victim before his cars. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, because they were. No, I'm sorry. Richard Mallory was the only one that they found the car, I think,
Yeah.
because she took the cars
Right.
and she dropped them off somewhere else.
So she was smart.
Yeah, now here's like the most important one. June 4th, 1990, Peter Sims. His body was never found. Only his car that was abandoned. So did something different happen here, or was this... No, she was homeless, Shelby. She didn't have pigs.
But was there a farm nearby? Because technically, hypothetically speaking, you could feed a pig a body, they will eat everything but the teeth and the toenails.
In like 3 days, and that's not hypothetical, that's proof. So what do you think? Do you think they lost evidence, or that something different happened?
I think that she fed him to a pig.
Shelby's theory is the pig theory. What do you think, Mom? I mean, they found his car, but not his body.
Okay, so I mean,
now we are in Florida. She could have fed it to a gator.
Yeah. Or where she dumped the body, what if he wasn't completely gone and then he fell into some other type of demise?
Yeah.
Like a swamp.
So the missing body creates gaps, and then with the gaps comes the uncertainty in the profiling.
Right.
But it was still the same setup crime scene, just minus the body. July 4th, 1990 was Troy Burris shot, left in the woods. And by now, investigators are starting to connect the dots on this.
Yeah.
They're starting
Well,
to...
they all seem to kind of be the same type of guy.
Yeah,
like,
and they are all, like, blue collar,
about the same age. in the same area, willing to stop for a stranded female on the side of the road. So they all kind of fit that grandpoo persona.
Yes. So then, September 11th, 1990, was Charles Humphreys, former Air Force major, former police chief.
Oh.
And this victim adds another layer because now we're not just looking at like random blue collar men, we're looking at someone with authority, experience, and awareness.
Yeah, and this would also be someone that would probably have a name in the community, not just okay, well, that was Joe Blow that worked at the concrete yard. It's
This
someone
is
of
noticeable.
Yes. I mean, he had to have been liked or scared of enough that he was elected as police chief.
Yeah. So now we go to November 19th, 1990, Walter Antonio. Truck driver, security guard, shot, left behind. And just like that, 7 victims in less than a year. So
Damn.
Her last victim, she went right back to her normal profile. It's like Charles Humphreys was just like, let's get them off my trail.
And did he just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time?
And I wonder with him being a police chief and stuff, if he honestly was trying to help her.
Maybe.
He saw someone in distress and was like...
And maybe she took the help in the wrong way, in the wrong light, because of her past trauma.
So, now we get to do our full pattern analysis, and you listeners have no idea how happy it makes me to break this down this far. I mean, this is 10 times better than my project in high school.
Yes, it'll geek out. It's okay.
All 7 victims share key similarities. Middle-aged men, encountered along highways, shot with a firearm, left in remote locations. And in many cases, personal belongings were taken. So money, anything of value, she was taking to pawn it to get money. Because she was trying to
So she
keep
was still
Tyria.
surviving.
Hypothetically speaking, the one dude, the one whose body never was found.
Yes.
After all of them was found, if it was her pattern, how was all of them found but that one? But they can't technically say he was shot if they've never found the body.
Bullet holes in the car. Look at Rhonda Henson. Bullet holes were left in her car.
Yeah.
That's why the trunk went
There's
missing.
enough evidence to point that that's what would have happened, but there's not concrete evidence, and, that he was actually gone.
So now we get into the investigation and her interrogation part of this. And yes, on the script, I have this all sectioned out. Investigators begin linking the cases through ballistics, witness statements, and pawned items. Cars are traced, items are identified, and eventually everything leads back to Aileen. So, this is the full story of how she was caught. Aileen Wuornos was arrested on January 9th, 1991 at a bar called The Last Resort in Port Orange, Florida, after a long investigation tied to her string of murders. Police had been closing in because they found her fingerprints and palm prints in a victim's car and had witness descriptions linking her to the crimes. Officers used an outstanding warrant for carrying a concealed weapon as the legal reason to detain her when they spotted her drinking at the Last Resort, a dive biker bar she frequented.
Okay.
So this was a very undercover operation. So undercover and uniformed officers were inside the bar and watched her. And when the time was right, they moved in and took her into custody without a violent struggle. After her arrest, detectives used evidence already collected, like fingerprints and stolen goods traced back to pawn shops, to build a murder case, and later secured tapped confessions with help from her girlfriend, Tyria Moore, who was given immunity for cooperating.
Okay.
Because Tyria had no part. She was in a hotel room waiting for her to come home.
Right.
Because, Aileen throughout her life was a sex worker, so, you wouldn't be home at night if you're a sex worker.
Right.
Now, Tyria Moore is the true turning point. This was her girlfriend. This was the one person Aileen trusted in adulthood besides the childhood friend who ended up coming with all the belongings.
Right.
Police convinced Tyria to help. She makes recorded phone calls, and this is where the case truly breaks open. Shelby, if you knew something, would you go tell the police, your significant other's murdering people?
If it was Sandwich Man, yeah.
If it was Sandwich Man, yeah. Sorry if y'all hear noises. The kiddo is playing with her magnets behind us because she's been very clingy, and I think she just wants to be part of this.
She's building a cage.
She's building a cage. On the call, Tyria pleads with her. Just tell them the truth. It'll be okay. You know, she's trying to convince her. Tell the truth. Let's get this out. Let's be done with the secrets, Aileen. It's time to come clean.
Well, and they've probably told her too that if she confesses, it's not going to be as bad on her. If she tells us what's really happened, it's not going to be as harsh on her. We can help her. You know, this is something that is going to be said if you're trying to convince someone to convince their significant other to tell what they've been doing, especially to a crime of this magnitude.
Yep. And eventually, Aileen does.
At this point,
confess.
you're a serial killer.
Yeah, and Aileen does eventually confess. She confesses to all 7 murders, but even then, her reasoning doesn't stay consistent. Her storytelling is never consistent with her life, with nothing. Things change, and a lot of that's probably her trying to suppress the trauma, and it's coming back as something different.
Yeah, that could be just.
No, Eli, I do not think that's where the song came from. Sandwich Man, keep your music thoughts to yourself. We are in a very serious moment. So, now we're going to get the psychological profile. So, if we were building a profile on her, you'd be looking at someone shaped by severe childhood trauma, chronic instability, early exposure to violence, and long-term survival behavior.
Right.
Which I feel like there was a Criminal Minds episode on her. I just don't remember which one it was. Because I stopped watching when Morgan left. I
don't remember, but you've got to look at too. You don't know what other mental instabilities she may or may not have had just from the trauma that she experienced alone.
I figure she had severe depression, anxiety, especially separation anxiety.
Yeah. And trust issues.
Yep.
From a no-out one.
So we had hypervigilance, a constant state of being on edge, always expecting danger and always ready to react. So she was always in fight or flight.
That's just, that's a symptom of constant trauma and abuse and having to, in essence, be on your own. You've never had a person.
Exactly. But over time, that kind of survival instinct can shift from reacting to danger to controlling it. So she probably honestly thought she was controlling everything in these situations.
Yeah.
So now we are on to her trial and the final decision with everything. So in the courtroom, Aileen is volatile, emotional, angry, defensive. She insists she acted on self-defense in all 7 cases.
Well, she probably figures at this point, in all honesty, if you're sitting there at that thing and all this is going on and they know about your past, they know what's going on, if you're sitting there and you're claiming self-defense, you know, how many times has someone been, oh, it was self-defense? Okay, here's a slap on the wrist. You have probation. You can go home. And that's probably where her brain is at, especially in that she's still in survival mode. And if I say they raped me, they assaulted me, I was just defending myself, I was protecting myself, it's going to get her less of a punishment.
And that's probably exactly what she was thinking. Because the barroom fights, she was arrested for like a night. Yeah. It was, here, go in the drunk tank, get sober.
Yeah.
This is actually a quote from her in the courtroom. I was raped. I defended myself. And this is where a lot of the TikTok surge a couple months ago came from, where people were trying to defend and be like, she wasn't actually a serial killer. She's actually, girl power. She was raped. And no, it's...
Okay, but was she... But in her... With everything that happened through her life, when she's saying, I was raped, I defended myself, is she talking about the victims of her crime that she murdered? Or is she talking about things that happened to her past and it just come to the forefront because they fit that persona?
Yes, and that's why
did she just kill, in essence, the grandfather or whoever had raped her as a child 7 times?
And you remember when I got so angry about that on TikTok? Because, I don't want to say I love Aileen, but as much as I love her case and I love looking into it,
well,
it's not that. It's not a girl power.
No.
She was wrongly accused of murder. No,
she murdered seven people that they knew of. 7 people that they knew of. But here's the thing, too. I do feel that Aileen got a shitty stick. I think she got,
in life,
a crappy end of the deal. And I think that she was a victim. But she still was... a serial killer.
There are still actions for your consequences.
Yes.
Any thoughts on all this?
Um,
Do you remember that on TikTok?
yeah, but I've also heard that she murdered like 15 people.
Yeah, like
Well, there's different numbers and different things that people
Yeah.
don't know for sure. But I mean, here's the thing.
we can only get her for the 7 she confessed.
Right. The bottom line, at the end of the day, final endpoint in it was she confessed to murdering these 7 men. Whether they done anything to her or didn't do anything to her, she still committed the crime. She still had to face the consequences of that crime, whether she had past demons or not. It was still something that she done.
Yep. And now we come to her contradicting herself. She later admitted that robbery did play a role in all this, that she needed the money that they had. I mean, you figure a rodeo worker, someone who was an electronics store,
They
all
probably
that.
had a lot of cash.
Yeah, I mean, if it was. Now, I don't remember if I've ever found if it said he was like specifically like a bull rider, bronc rider, rodeo clown. But if he was a bull or bronc rider and he won money, that's given to you in cash.
Yeah, well, I mean, even like the rodeo clowns are usually paid out in cash.
Yeah.
Especially at that time period.
Yeah.
Because at that time period,
You
cash was king.
Yeah.
You didn't have, most people didn't, there was a lot of people that didn't even use banks in the 90s. I know, I lived there. But
Sorry, I was not alive in the 1900s.
There was also, there wasn't a lot of, not that people didn't have credit cards, but you didn't have a debit card. You had checks that you would write from your bank. Most people carried cash, and
even if they were paid in a check,
they cashed it.
Yeah, so they probably immediately endorsed it, so they could go the next morning bright and early and cash it in.
Especially with the line of work these people are in,
especially like construction worker. I mean, there's that Brantley Gilbert song, "Dirty Money." They're the last ones at the bank, but they're the first ones up to make the money.
Right.
And yeah, y'all, that's true. I have to make bank runs for Cody because he can't because of his work schedule.
But I mean, that's just it. And in that time period, a lot of people that worked in construction, they were paid on a weekly basis, and it was cash, and it was just, here's your money, and that's what they done, and that's why a lot of people
go buy you a 12-pack of PBR. 12-pack of PBR, whatever beer was popular at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So her mental state does continue to deteriorate. Paranoia, conspiracy, disconnection from reality, which comes along with the isolation of being in prison. She doesn't know what's real. Eventually, she does ask for the execution to move forward, saying she's ready. Because she did get death penalty. I mean, that's like a no-brainer in this case. I mean, that you don't need to spell that out in crayon. She got death penalty.
I mean, at that point, she is considered a serial killer.
Her last meal, per her request, was she didn't want like the typical last meal of like, oh, I want this dinner of whatever. All she wanted was a cup of black coffee. Homegirl wanted to go out caffeinated.
Huh?
That would be him.
Now, yeah, that would be Sandwich Man. He'd be like, "Give me a coffee,
like
please."
She was probably ever a person that had that comfort meal, or this is my favorite thing my grandmother used to cook, and she's
probably not gonna pull like Gacy and get a bucket of KFC and some
because that's probably something that was a luxury that wasn't something that she was ever used to. I mean, that's just not the way she would have functioned.
Now, I am gonna ask y'all a question like I did in high school. So, what if you had to pick a last meal? What would you pick, Mom?
What'd you pick?
Shelby, be thinking about that too. If you had to pick a last meal, what would it be? Oh, while you're thinking, we're gonna get Shelby's answer.
So my last meal, sweet tea.
Huh? Oh, baby.
No.
What'd
Sweet
you want?
tea.
With no ice.
Yes. No ice.
What'd you
Or
want?
sweet tea, no ice, add lemon,
Mommy.
of course.
Sure.
Mommy.
Preferably from, what's that one place we went to that I said had really good tea? Okay, so probably Texas Roadhouse tea, to be honest.
Texas Roadhouse.
And then, Grammy to make, I think it was Grammy. Yeah, Grammy. To make some of those, ham, cheese, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise sandwiches. She makes the best.
Mine would definitely be fried chicken, mashed potatoes, peas, biscuits, and gravy. That is what I was always made as a child by my mom, and that's what I would want mine to be.
Hot macaroni and tomatoes, cornbread, and a glass of milk.
I think a lot of times with her last meal especially is like you said, Mom, it's a lack of comfort.
Yeah.
And it's just she didn't have that meal that she wanted to hold on to for her final moments.
Right. There wasn't something that she went back and went, oh, this was my happiest meal ever.
Because yours being hot macaroni and tomatoes is very much just like your comfort meal. That's what you were made
Exactly.
as a kid.
Yeah,
that's what
my...
when you've had a rough day at work, I really know because you've came home and that's what you've made. Now her last words. Her last words. Yes, I would just like to say I'm sailing with the Rock, and I'll be later like Independence Day with Jesus, June 6th, like the movie. Big mothership and all. I'll be back. I'll be back. The movie Independence Day. That's exactly what she based her last words off of.
Right.
That's a lot to unpack when you're sitting there thinking about this.
Yeah.
May, come here and I'll hook the mic up for you.
Shelby, I mean, what do you think of her last words being directly from a movie?
I don't know. My last words would probably be, I didn't like y'all fuckers.
I didn't like y'all fuckers. I mean, I feel like I would go with some snarky shit like, my name's Dean Winchester, I'm an Aquarius, I enjoy long walks on the beach and frisky women. Because my mind would be in such a panic. It'd be like, yep, supernatural calming. I wouldn't want a last meal. I'd want to rewatch the pilot episode one more time. I'm like, can I skip the meal and just watch Supernatural one last time, please?
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you just bring out the, if you have a message for the devil, let me know now, because I'll be seeing him soon.
So, what do we do with a case like this where trauma is real, but so are the choices? I mean, at the end of the day, you do kind of feel bad for her because of all the trauma.
Well, you do. You have to feel bad for her. And I also feel like at that time period, with the way society was and with the way society viewed mental health at that time period, did she truly get what she needed?
I feel like
I kind of feel like if it would have been today, she would have, instead of possibly the death sentence, she probably would have got more of a mental sentence, if that makes sense. Like
Ed Gein.
Yeah, I
She
mean,
been put in an institution, and I feel like because she was a woman, they also
didn't know how to handle that
because a lot of mental disorders in women aren't
prevalent,
easily identified.
No, because it's pushed off as tics or behavioral instincts, or even like that's just the way she is. Maybe she was menstruating.
Yeah, like I would have honestly not been shocked if the execution chair, they were like, now when was the date of your last menstrual cycle?
Exactly, because that matters.
Because you could go into a hospital with your leg falling off, and the ER doctor would look at you and go, now when was the date of your last menstrual cycle?
Yeah, I think it's funny when I can tell them like 16 years ago.
I mean, Shelby, you know, doctors always ask, when was the date of your last?
Any doctor ever asks me that, I'm like, I don't know. Whenever I started bleeding last, I don't know. I don't mark the day.
Yeah, no. I do. I have an app. Because the final truth is, not every monster starts that way, but that doesn't mean they don't become one. And monster, just the word monster alone is very prevalent in this case.
Yes.
It is the name of the movie. It is very much associated with who she is and who she was.
And who they viewed her as.
Yep. This was a case that truly sparked the fire and made it to where this wouldn't just be a paranormal podcast.
Right.
This isn't just going to be spooky. This is the true start of the case. Because when I did this project in high school, I was actively watching Criminal Minds. My goal was to become a member of the BAU.
Right.
And then I learned you'd have to move to DC, and I said, I'm not living in the fucking city. I mean, Mr. Trevara was going to write me recommendation letters for University of Pittsburgh.
Right.
And he was telling me where to go and stuff, but when I found out that most likely with a degree like that, staying in a small town, or if you didn't get in, you'd just be a prison psychologist, I said, no thanks, I don't want to be Harley Quinn. I mean, I love Harley Quinn, but I don't want to be Harley Quinn, okay?
Jeez Louise.
Shelby, you got any final thoughts on this one?
No.
No, we're just going to leave it as heavy as it is. And as always, Sinister Sippers, stay curious, stay aware, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Bye.